how are you guys doing? Oh, overlay's already screwing up. Whatever. So, sorry last night again for canceling the stream, you guys. I wasn't feeling well, and Nick Rakita had an emergency stream in regards to that 52-page document that dropped, which we touched upon a little bit of that today. And of course, OBS overlays being a douche. So, anyway, we're gonna be talking about some kind of heavy topics, kind of not. We seem to be running into either religious themes or LGBT or mixed. So, the first article we're going to cover has to do with the one you sent me, Ichabod. It's the custodian one, in regards to the LGBT flag and the Confederate flag. It is that month, so excuse me, just little heads up if I get a little bit preachy on this one again. I'm sorry. So, it's been happening a lot.
Waka waka.
Okay, and just an audio check. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, well, I done derp. I did not start my Streamlabs spot.
Yeah, it seems to be working just fine.
Okay. So, because I know the drawing stream, I was like really low, and that was my Discord. That was not my OBS. So, okay, there we go. Sure. Yay! Okay, so this is from Yahoo. I usually don't use Yahoo, but every once in a while. Mark Vendel, a part-time janitor employed by the City of Independence, Missouri, I'm going to assume, spoke to the city council asking that his rebel flag be put on display next to the pride flag. A city employee in Independence, Missouri, who was granted a request to speak regarding discrimination against employees during a city council meeting, used his time to criticize the display of the rainbow pride flag during Pride Month and claimed that he would be fired if he flew his Confederate flag. Mark Velder, a part-time custodian for the city, made the controversial speech on Monday. Velder said that this is the fourth time he has spoken publicly about the issue. KMBC reports the Independence mayor, Eileen Ware, sorry if I mispronounced that, hung a pride flag outside her office to show support to the LGBTQ community. I feel very strongly that we have adopted non-discrimination ordinances in our city, and I don't want that to be just a hollow statement, she said. But Velder disagrees. We did the Pledge of Allegiance, which says, I pledge allegiance to the flag. The flag, the, is a definitive article. That is my flag, Velder said during his permitted 3 minutes, pointing to the American flag. Not the LGBT flag, Velder added while holding two Confederate flags. I work at the City of Independence. If I put the Confederate flag up tomorrow, I'll be fired. While Ware said that the employee has never been punished or asked to take down an office display, Velder claims men have been told to remove pictures of a girl with a bikini on their lunchboxes or toolboxes because it was quote-unquote offensive. Yet we got a flag outside of the window right up there that gives me a sense of discrimination. Something that's not for equal rights. It's a violation, Velder continued. I'll read this paragraph and then we can give our thoughts so far. That flag does not represent me. I keep hearing it's for everybody. It does not. That represents people who have surgically removed part of their autonomy because they don't know what kind of bathroom to go to. I'm normal. He added, I'm asking, can we get the pride flag down or just put mine, the Confederate flag, up? Just put this one up. I would love to see this one up tomorrow morning when I come to work. Okay, thoughts, people, so far about what we
Why the Confederate flag?
Because it'd be the most offensive flag.
No. This is the reason why you should fly the Confederate flag. You can say what you want about the Confederate flag, but at least it looks nice. BT flag is ugly, okay? I don't like rainbows. The color scheme hurts my eyes, and it's just lazy. It's a lazy flag. That's all it is. At least with the Confederate flag, it's something interesting to look at. I'm sick of seeing rainbows everywhere. Stop plastering rainbows everywhere. It hurts my eyes. There you go.
Ichabod, what are your thoughts? And then I'll give mine.
The reasoning. Oh God, I'm sorry. It's just the reasoning of it is an eyesore. Make it go away. Honestly, it's a flag, man. I don't care if he puts it up. It's not gonna. God damn it.
Sorry.
I don't like rainbows.
I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
God. Yeah, I basically my mind lies with what Tatiana said. It's just a flag. The dude's reasoning's messed up, but it's just a flag. Fly the damn thing. Nobody's the Confederacy anymore. Okay, just chill out. Let him fly his stupid flag. If you're gonna fly one that offends him, he should be able to fly one that offends you. Everybody's equal.
Now, for my opinion, because I know the Confederate flag, you would have. It's a mixed bag. Me, personally, I don't see anything wrong with it, considering the history behind it. And no, it's not. I know that you have the KKK, which adopted the Confederate flag and used it for a white nationalist symbol. I get that, but the actual history of the flag matters, and I don't see anything wrong with flying it. Just do so respectfully. Don't be obnoxious about it. Now, in regards to like the LGBT flag, it's not something I'd personally fly over my own door, but at the same time, I mean, if I'm working for a company and companies are allowed, to fly whatever they want. It's not like they're forcing it on the employees or whatever. It's for me personally, it's not a flag I can get under personally because of my own beliefs, but at the same time, I really wouldn't make a squawk about my company flying it. I mean, I work for the company, but that doesn't mean I share the company's values and everything or beliefs and everything. I mean, I'm there for a paycheck and to hopefully grow and learn in my employment and experience, but that's about it. And in regards for swapping the LGBT flag for the Confederate one, I have to say that is a really dumb request, again, because there's mixed feelings about the Confederate flag. Hell, I forgot where, they ceremoniously pulled down the Confederate flag that used to fly, and they had soldiers and everything pull it down properly, but not a lot of people want that flag flying. If you want to fly it in your own house, that's fine. LGBT flag, again, I don't stand by it, but at the same time, I'm not going to make a squawk if I see it above a company door or in a company window. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of used to it, depending on the context and where it's being flown and how it's being shown. It makes me a bit leery, but for the most part, it's just a flag to me, and it's just like, okay, it's that time of the month. So, but yeah, you trying to ask a official office of the state to fly the Confederate flag, presentationally speaking, or presentation-wise, and then logically speaking, no. Not a good idea, like, at all. Even with the history of the Confederate flag, I'm still gonna say that is the most dumbest request I have heard. If you want to say, hey, why don't you just fly the regular American flag up there, I can understand that. But asking a public official to swap out LGBT with a Confederate one, no.
Well, that's the thing. They're both public officials.
Well, he's a custodian. He's a custodian.
What's really interesting is in England, it's the Confederate flag isn't actually seen as racist here. It's seen as kind of like a cool piece of thing you own. I don't know, like it's just whenever an English person has it, we more or less just like frame it and go, we've got history. This is cool. Like,
you guys are smart though. Here in America, we have a bunch of snowflakes running around tearing down pieces of history because they're fifis. Instead of keeping it up as a reminder. Go ahead.
Oh no, literally the only reason why English people like the Confederate flag is because it looks cool.
You just think it looks cool because it looks like Union Jack.
Yeah, the colors are very similar to the Union Jack, so.
I don't know, it's just like, whenever I see English people own a Confederate flag, they just like it because it looks cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the design is cool. Now, I personally, because I don't have any connections with the Confederacy or the history of the South like that, I personally wouldn't have one in my living room because I have no connection. I have no family members that fought in the Civil War, as far as I know of. So it's like I really personally own one myself, but I'm not gonna make a stink about other people flying them. Freaking people, when there was a big hoopla over the Confederate flags about, I think, over a year ago, people were flying them around here. There was a pickup truck, and it just Hicks. Well, they kind of look like Hicks, but I don't think they were. But pickup truck that had a they had the old fashioned pickup truck, the old farmer clothes. I mean, it was very stereotypical. But they drove around town with the Confederate flag flying off of their pickup truck. So, I mean, you saw the Confederate flag a little bit of everywhere around here during that time. Not so much anymore, but I'm just saying.
Mean, to be honest, if I see an American and they just randomly got a Confederate flag, I would be like, how much can I buy it? I want one. They look cool, okay?
I'm still trying to determine whether or not to be offended by the Hick statement.
I wasn't referring it to you. I'm just talking about the people that drive around here in my town. Like, it was literally stereotypical. Oh, you dissed the Confederate flag. We're gonna fly it off our truck. Like, some of the guys were sitting in the back of the pickup truck.
Were they sitting in the back of a pickup truck wearing overalls?
Yes.
Hat.
Yes, they look like they're from the deep south. Yes, that's why I call them.
Was it a Ford?
It was either a little Ford or a Chevrolet.
By any chance, could it have been a Ford F-150?
I don't know. I don't know. But that's why I called it stereotypical that you saw the truck, and I haven't seen it around since, but yeah.
For the information of the chat, why I'm messing with Chambers on this should I be offended thing. My first car was a Ford F-150. I work at a farmer's market, and I wear some goddamn overalls. Chambers would see me walking down the street and be like, oh, that Hick.
Well, no, it's like the scene was like characters from the Dukes of Hazzard. If you guys know, if you've seen the old version of that movie or the new version that came out. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anyone who wears overalls is a Hick. I mean, there's a lot of farmers that work around here in Illinois, a lot of corn farmers and things like that. So it was stereotypical as I was driving it and I saw that. Going,
God damn it, Gundoge.
Let's see.
He called me a Hick.
Lol. Tatiana also says, I live in South Carolina and the Confederate flag means more to most people here. Yeah, no, I know. For the Deep South, for those who actually have the full history of the Civil War, the Confederacy, because from what I understand, this is what I've been told, the Confederate Army was fighting to keep natural farming. Now, Robert E. Lee was one that led the Confederate Army, and then you have U.S. Grant, which led the other side and was fighting for mass production. So the Confederate Army, or the Civil War, was a lot more than just freeing the slaves. So it had to do with natural farming versus mass production and machines taking over farmers' work. So yeah, no, there's a lot more to it than just
increased taxation and tariffs on.
What's really interesting
crops at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting is the Civil War is a perfect example of. For instance, a lot of people think, "Oh, we ended slavery because we finally realized after all these years that it was a bad thing to do." No, that's not the reason why. The reason why was it was more cost effective to go with machines than slaves. Slavery ended was it's cheaper to go with machines.
Yeah, and the Confederacy fighting to keep their slaves as well as the natural production of the farmland. So again, it's Go ahead.
Like, we knew it was wrong, we just didn't care.
Let's be fair. Do we really care now? Look at all the places that have slavery still all over the world.
No. We still care because
We don't care now.
No. There's talk of reparation payments. That is now going into the court of hearing, or there's got a hearing coming up on it, and you have people of color going, please don't attach me to this reparation shit. Don't make me a victim of something I wasn't. Like of slavery. I've seen a couple, and there's very few people. A young Democrat came out, he was booed. And then someone else, I forget his name, came out. He's also black. He goes, "No, don't attach me to this garbage. Don't make me a victim of this. Go away. I want nothing to do with this."
I don't think they understand that a lot of slave owners had sex with their slaves and had children with their slaves. I don't think they really understand that.
Yeah, and
so like if you want to do reparations, you're most likely related to a slave and a slave owner.
Oh yeah, and they're like, what about the Irish slaves that were here? Irish slaves were treated way worse than the black slaves. So Irish slaves were actually beaten because they were considered cheaper to replace. Black slaves were treated better because they were considered more expensive and harder to replace. Again, I'm not justifying one or the other, but come on.
To be fair, Irish people weren't perceived as cheaper to replace. They were just cheaper to replace.
Yeah, they were.
There was no maybe about like that.
Well, it still doesn't negate my point. They were literally beaten until they were dead. Like, oh, just give me another one.
Oh yeah, it's because most of the time, and this is, just a random caveat. A lot of it was to pay for like, how to describe it. A lot of these weren't even necessarily slaves so much as indentured servants. Don't get me wrong; they were still treated just as bad, if not worse, than your average, African slave during the time. But it was because a lot of times it was gambling debts, paying for stuff like food and housing for their families, all that sort of stuff. And every day they would work, they're still paying for stuff like their housing and what they're eating and all of that. So you could basically keep somebody in perpetual servitude.
They also tend to forget about Asian slaves.
Oh yeah, it's basically like if you're dark skinned, you deserve reparations, and that's nothing to my people of color viewers. But I mean, that's you are writing out a victim card that should have died. There's a civil war, plus the many steps that we have taken to criminalize discrimination, prejudice behavior. So in my opinion, it's just like, no, I'm not paying anybody shit for something that had nothing to do with me, or for the most part, as far as I know, my family, I'm sorry, I'm not paying for something that happened over 150 years ago. I don't care if it just, and I love this too. Let me give you a little pointer. Just because you have dark skin, does not mean that you are out of Africa. There was what is that YouTuber's name? YouTuber's name. She took a DNA test because I have the copy of the video. DNA test, and she found out she had roots in Europe.
Yeah, it's like my father is dark skin, but he doesn't have any African descent in him at all. Like he took a DNA test, he doesn't have any African descent in him at all, but he's of the darker variety.
So
and it's like.
What about the white people that possibly have African descent?
So weird side note, Step says, I can actually make a case that slavery was actually a burden to whites, black slavery to be specific.
Well, there's a lot they had
also
to take care
waiting in the hallway.
Okay. Let's finish up this article and then we can jump into that subject a little bit before we jump into the other thing. So let me finish up this article before we completely derail, and then we'll come back to it.
Oh yeah.
So hang on, Step. Okay, so getting back to the article, he is clearly entitled to his viewpoint. We're told KMBC added that Velder was part of the vocal minority. I certainly don't agree, obviously, with his viewpoint, but I do agree that he has a right to express it. The Bible says that he is a friend of the world, is an enemy of God. Velder ended his speech, alluded to James 4:4. If you're a friend of LGBT, you're an enemy of the Lord Jesus Christ. Here's where we get into the religious part. Word toward the station that she felt the city ultimately makes the LGBTQ community feel welcomed and included, and that the general response to her hanging the pride flag was overwhelmingly positive. She did not immediately...
I'll be right back.
Okay. She did not immediately respond to Yahoo's Lifestyle's request for comment. We're going to do this thing again, and I don't want NIV, because NIV is disgusting. Give me this one.
Still say my reasoning for the LGBT flag is sane.
Yeah, well, he's making, and I do want to make sure that he's making the case
Sorry.
that, well, yes, the Bible does say if you're a friend of the world, then you're an enemy of God, but again, for me, it just feels like there's more to it. Let's see, and again, I'm not trying to get preachy here, so I do apologize, because this is like 4 verses down. Let's see, from whence came wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence? Oh my God, let me get the new King James Version, because if I try to read the old, like, I can understand what it's saying, but give me this.
Yeah, you might want to be careful with where you get the Bible information from on the internet, because
No.
Yeah, no, Bible Gateway is...
they have been...
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of these sites have been caught outright lying to make the Bible look better.
Yeah, no, I've actually run Bible Gateway by my own NASB, which is a New American Study Bible. It has the old writing, it has a bunch of notes, and a concordance in the back. So Bible Gateway, I trust.
Yeah, that's good.
So
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of sites that have been caught lying in the past. So
I don't doubt it. There's people that try to twist and... Okay, so let's see. And I know Ichabod he already starting to groan. So
What?
Oh, I have a Bible thingy up, and I heard you groaning.
Oh, I know.
So I'm gonna try to go through this as quick as possible. This is just verses 4 through 6. Where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members? You lust and do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight in war, yet you do not have because you cannot ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask amiss. Fuck. Hold on. No, my cats feel the need to get around my cords.
No, it's just the irony of like...
Are we still... Okay, stream resumes. Grace to the humble. So that doesn't... If you struggle in something, that doesn't automatically make you a friend of God. However, if you decide to live in sin, which could be what the guy is implying, then you're not going to have a good relationship with God. But at the same time, it's just... She's a friend of the world. I don't... Okay, from a Christian standpoint, flying the LGBT flag is promoting homosexuality and all that wonderful stuff, which is against the Bible. But at the same time, I don't think he's in a spot to where you can say who's a friend of God and who isn't. I mean, as I've told people, the only thing that you can really do is talk about what the Bible says and do so properly and accurately, but you can't tell people, oh, you're this, oh, you're going to hell, oh, well, you're not walking with God, or this and that. So I don't know, that part, I don't know. Because at the beginning of his argument, he didn't bring Christianity, anything like that, oh, this goes against my beliefs, but he tries to do it so at the end of it, which is really freaking weird. So I don't know. His entire stance and reasoning is kind of garbo, and him trying to throw in a Bible verse at the last possible second. I mean, again, I don't know. I think it's crap, but I get what he's trying to say. But at the same time, it was not part of the original argument, and the establishment itself may not be Christian. I mean, you guys get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because it's a state house. They can't hold a religion themselves. Like as a state entity, they're not allowed to have a religion for that state entity.
Yeah. I mean, it's if it was like a Christian, let's say like it was a church, if it was a church that was funding the LGBT flag, then your argument would make a bit more sense if you try to throw in the Bible verse saying, hey, you guys are supposed to be following God, but you guys are sitting here doing this garbage. So that's a whole nother can of worms. So, but yeah. No. I
have a feeling Leo would be able to make better sense of this than I can.
Yeah, Leo would be.
Didn't the Confederate soldiers? Didn't a lot of Confederate soldiers end up being gay?
I have no idea.
A lot of both sides ended up having a lot of gay.
Both sides also had black soldiers, so.
Yes, they did.
Because actually, let's take it a step further because we can go back to that topic. Is you had blacks owning other blacks under white owners, so you had blacks who were elevated. So it's just like, the reparations argument is stupid because the higher ups aren't going to pay for that garbage.
The first ever American slave owner was a black man, I think. Actually, I'm not entirely sure, so I might be wrong.
Oh, yeah,
so are we ready for the absolute chaos that is Step trying to have this conversation with us?
Oh, we could bring him in. Skull says separation of church and state is a thing in this country. Yeah, no, that is true too. Again, this is a state house. This is so I wouldn't expect them to fly any type of Christian flag.
I forgot I can't do that anymore.
Wait, you should.
I can't just move him in here.
You should be able to.
No, we can't. We can't.
I don't have the power to move members.
Just me.
Let's see, view channel, connect, mute members. Yeah, no, you should be able to move them. How are you not able to move them?
I have no idea. Is that set up for BH mod?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. You're gonna have to pull him in.
I don't know.
Which absolutely
maybe you put a restriction in the by the Hearth thing.
Oh, you think in the overall server?
Entirely possible. But it couldn't be just by the Hearth because I don't even have the option to move him.
No, that you should be able to move him because even in by the Hearth, the overall role settings, you guys should be able to move people around.
Okay, so Lancer737 says they have legalized forced abortions in Britain. I tried to tell the hard bastard this.
Yeah, right. So what happened was that I had to go to another article, and basically what the article liked to conveniently leave out is the fact that the woman has a very rare disease where she can have seizures and blood clots, which can give her even more brain damage. And the point of that is the reason why they were making it is because one, she can't make decisions for herself because she's so disabled. She literally can't make decisions for herself. And two, and I'm not defending them, I'm just saying what they left out.
Right.
And two, so it would affect her and the baby, and so they have to make a decision of, well, are we going to save this disabled person's life that clearly can't make a decision for herself, or have both of them die. And that was basically what happened. It's still wrong that it's forced. Don't get me wrong, it's still wrong that it's forced, but I think it's really important. I think it's a really important detail that the article just conveniently left out.
Okay, hang on a second, because this now comes to mind. She is so disabled she cannot make decisions for herself, right?
Yeah.
How did she get pregnant?
Are we talking about the woman in Arizona?
No. No, this isn't Britain. Apparently, her worker fucked her.
Wait, who?
Caretaker?
Oh.
Her caretaker fucked her.
Okay, so exactly like what happened in Arizona.
So she was raped?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
It says that she had consent, but like apparently she's so disabled that she child. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no. If she has the mentality of a child, then no.
Guess shouldn't be fucking to begin with.
So
I wouldn't call that consent. That's
so
just
it's kind of a thing where it's a grey area. They said like, oh, the forced abortion thing. And it's like, well, the thing is that there is a lot of details that's really important that the articles being shared around at the moment is being left out.
Yeah,
I'll take her to the Telegraph. The Telegraph covers it way better and actually knows what it's fucking talking about. I'm saying it's not. Again, I'm not endorsing the force thing. I don't think the force thing's right. But at the same time, it's one of those grey areas where it's like, well, mental age of a child who, if she has this child, she is definitely going to die and the kid going to die. Or if she has the forced abortion, only the kid will die.
Well,
It's one of those grey areas that you can't just go, well, this is super wrong or super right, because it's...
I think everything about this story is super wrong.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Why is she pregnant to begin with? Why didn't nobody, like... Oh my god.
That is a wrong
She has
kind of
a-
wellness check.
Isn't she from Nigeria
Apparently she has
as
a
well?
mental...
Huh?
She has a mental age of... apparently she has a mental age of a 5-year-old or something, so yeah, she
isn't
definitely
also
can't
from
consent.
Nigeria? Like, I'm not making a racist comment. I read that she was also from Nigeria. Like, her family's from Nigeria.
She's from Nigeria.
She-
Nigeria is a
Step.
very...
Hello.
Is a very...
Fucked story?
Oh my gosh! Wow. So
yeah, Nigeria has some very fucked beliefs, sort of thing. So
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Steph, what did you want to come in here and talk about? Just to get away from the angry child brain rape, fucking baby abortion death story.
I heard you guys were talking about reparations earlier, and I just wanted to point out a couple things.
Okay.
Not against you guys, just some factoids I stumbled across.
Oh no, you're fine.
So we are aware that only like 2% of the white population in the South owned slaves, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would actually argue.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I heard like a small amount, but go ahead.
Yes. Let me find it again. Where's my thing?
Oh my
Yeah.
god, do you just want me to make the point for you, Steph?
No, I got it.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a different point here. So,
Step boy.
So you say.
yeah, I would argue that whites didn't actually benefit that much from slavery in the first place. Because today we know that the physical effects of blacks were what they get from the government minus their taxes paid is about $300 billion per year. So in hindsight, us bringing them over is actually not helping us that much. And on top of that, all the sure, slavery could have benefited those 2% wealthy white rich elites, but I'd argue that all of that wealth was practically gone by the end of the Civil War. So at the end of the day, not even the benefit that it gave lasted long.
Steph, you made that point as badly as I expected you to.
Well, how would you word it?
Okay, so if you take the total cost of the crops accrued by the labor that was done by these slaves, factor that in with the concept that only 2% of these slave owners were white, Southern, and American, then you factor in the cost of everything that it would be to pay a worker, and then you balance that against the reparation payments that have been made ever since reparation payments have been started to be made. We're looking at a deficit of our total accrued costs, even with inflation, of us losing about $200 billion overall.
Yes.
And someone in another summer actually did the math to how much someone could get for a reparation, and it would only be a one-time payout of a little bit more than $4,100.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, the Welsh and Irish and even Romanians were slaves at some point. Cold summer.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
actually,
Chinese building the railroads on the west.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
indentured, but close.
Misty?
And actually, well, in slavery in England was more about the class system than actual race. On top of that, in England, it was a case of, well, if you are below working class, you get picked up by the slave trade. Like if you're a homeless kid, you get picked up by the slave trade. It's this thing of like if you're under a certain class,
Yeah, and something too,
it's illegal.
we didn't personally go and fetch anybody from Africa. They were sold. If you guys even do the history or read anything up on the African tribes, like there's a book. His last name is Ichabod, Heart of Darkness. And that book is based off of the tribes from back then, how the tribes would fight each other, and the losing tribe would actually have to give their own people as slaves or concubines or something to the winning tribe. You had the tribes auctioning each other off and selling them to the foreigners who brought them over here. So again, it's not like we personally went out of our way to tear people out of their homes. So it just, again, I'm not paying shit to anybody for something that I wasn't even alive for.
Actually, you don't even have to look at the. Actually, you don't even have to look at the
And
past
I
very
think-
much.
And I think that the intact black family rate is actually lower now than it was.
So weird side note that just hit my brain when
Go ahead.
Steam was talking about the like it's illegal to be homeless thing. Have you ever shown Chambers the homeless combat spikes?
No, I haven't.
What is
Oh
that?
my god, just put them in the main hall. Just
Homeless
put it in the
spikes.
main hall. Show her the homeless spikes.
Are you talking about around the
Wait, I
buildings in
have
the
to go and get the
US?
homeless. Like,
Nope, these are in England. You'll see.
Your voice went
Steam
deep
Steam will
again.
pull them up.
I still got a scar from the homeless spikes.
Yeah, no,
What?
I remember.
They're fucking
she's so oblivious. No, just show them to her before you explain them.
Okay. Let me just.
Yeah, just pop it in the main hall of the server. Just
Not the homeless spikes.
yes, the homeless spikes.
Okay, that is definitely interesting.
No, we talked about this on Citrus Quest a while back. Was like, because I was like, oh well, they're probably just bumps or something. But no, they're full on like the bottom of the pit level in Mortal Kombat death spikes.
Yeah, they're fucking dangerous, and people like, oh, they're a good thing because it keeps the homeless people away, and it's like, you know,
They're still
homeless
big.
people.
Why would we
in-
want to keep them away? Why don't we just like?
Step
Well, what do you
by
mean
step.
keep them away? In the
Homeless
sense of
people in no, it's like homeless people in Europe aren't the same as homeless people in America. Homeless people in America have a lot of opportunities to get out of homelessness, and homelessness in England, you're just fucked.
Okay, this is what we have in America around some of our buildings.
Oh,
In the main hall.
Let me see. Oh yeah, no, I've seen those.
where?
Those are little spikes. That's what they've got in England.
What?
In your main
God.
Oh yeah, I think I was told those are to keep like the birds away or some shit.
No,
Nope.
those are for the homeless. We have the same thing here, except for ours aren't as quite
Really?
as big.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, like
look at this.
The park benches with the holes in them to keep homeless people cold.
There's people who've like fallen on the spikes, not even homeless people, just falling on the spikes and having to go to hospital because
Yeah,
they got
look at
impaled
this.
by them.
Many states and parts of our country are starting to do this now, and they're starting to do various sizes. Yeah, no, we have this over here too, under the bridge, spike.
Yeah.
They are very illegal in Kansas.
No, because I
They're
see them
incredibly
not on
dangerous.
benches, but like on higher up areas, like where birds would usually be.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
these are all in like areas where homeless people would normally sleep, like bench areas
Oh
or
yeah, and what
stuff
they're doing
like
to the
that.
benches is they're putting arms in between so the people can't sleep in the parks. So
Yeah.
Tesco.
That's the thing. These are homeless spikes. People be like, oh yeah, well, they're just out the way. No, these spikes are like like in the fucking street and all that stuff, and it's really annoying because there's a lot of people who do actually get hurt by these spikes. And again, homeless in England is not the same as America, because homeless in England don't want to be homeless. It's horrible being homeless in Europe
because it's colder.
They want
Nobody
to get
wants to be
out.
homeless here either.
Like
Yeah.
they don't have any opportunities. Like for instance, the homeless here, they just fucking keep themselves and try and get out as much as possible, sort of thing. And most of the time they can't. Homeless in America, they don't tend to do that because they tend to get like a lot more problems in America. And I don't know how to explain it. It's like our government laws where it basically become illegal to be homeless. To the point where like if a homeless person wants to buy food, they can just get kicked out of the store now.
Even if they have money.
Even if they have money. I got like.
See, we're better than England. At least we can say that, Chambers.
There's also a horrible mentality towards homeless people too, because what a lot of people around my age like to do is they have this really cool trend where they set homeless people on fire because it's funny, apparently.
That's not a really cool trend.
No, it's not.
That's not a cool trend. That's a really horrible and disgusting trend. But people think that you can just abuse the homeless because, they're homeless, it doesn't matter. And it's like, no, that's fucked up.
No.
At least we're not the French, where the French police actually encourage French citizens to put the homeless people in cages because, yes, France is notorious for all the stabbings. So, putting a homeless person in one of these public cages won't result in any murders or anything. No.
So, at least we're doing better than England, eh?
I will
Yeah.
say some of our
Was that on
homeless
purpose?
choose to stay homeless.
Shut up, Step.
I mean, if you're
simply
Canadian.
because they don't want to take the time to better themselves. I will say the town around here, there are some people who, when they come up and ask you for money because they're quote unquote hungry, and it's happened to both me and my husband to where we'll offer them to take them inside the store to get them like a sandwich or something, and they walk away because they want the money for alcohol.
Right.
So there are those people.
Or
I
drugs.
found this article. I think it's interesting. Put it in the requests.
I don't know. Here it's kind of like horrible propaganda posters that says like, "Don't give the homeless money or even food because they can do it to buy drugs." Here's the thing: if you know anything about English drug dealers, they will not deal with the homeless.
God dang it, Step! You stole that article from Sheldon.
I did steal that from Sheldon.
It is a terrible business to deal with the homeless. So most drug dealers in England actually don't deal with the homeless. So it's like, homeless here on drugs, yeah, sure. Like a drug dealer in England will fucking deal with a homeless person.
Okay. We can
You, sir, are too poor to purchase this meth.
It's just a bad business move, isn't it?
I'll give you
Wait,
some
this
food
is-
stamps if you let me buy some meth.
Ontario, this is in Canada. Of course it's in Canada. Freaking.
In Canada, oh,
Oh.
Hey, Ichabod.
Canada.
I will end you, boy.
Although actually most of our homeless is abused men who have run away from abusive homes.
So,
But I bet
can I read this one?
But I bet there's
Chambers?
no
Oh, please,
certificate
by all
of
means.
privilege.
Yeah, we can move into this one, and then after this one, we're gonna cover the JCPD. Let me flip over to the TV real quick.
Alright, fair enough.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Scroll
Rambling
up.
now.
Okay.
Because like I remember there was this meme going around where it's like 3 women and it's just like, and it was like written by them oppressed, and it was like a homeless dude and it's like written by him privilege.
Now, just for that minor interruption, I'm reading this entirely in the Shrek voice.
Oh.
Oh, do it.
Do it, pussy. No balls.
Ontario case has set special rules for sentencing black offenders, similar to Cloud for Indigenous people. What was set to be a simple appeal of a sentence for possession of a loaded handgun has burgeoned into a major push for judges to acutely focus on systematic racism against visible minorities when passing sentence, similar to special rules in place for Aboriginal offenders. 11 prominent human rights, legal, and ethic organizations have been granted special status in the government's appeal of a lenient sentence of a black man in Toronto last year. As a general rule, interventions in criminal proceedings should be granted sparingly. Ontario's Chief Justice George Strathy wrote in a brief ruling on the interveners released Tuesday. But the issues that arise in this appeal transcend the interests of the parties and are of significance to the administration of criminal justice. The proposed interveners are well-recognized organizations with experience and expertise in the issues raised in this appeal. They can offer perspectives that are different from those provided by the Crown and the respondent. The appeal stems from the sentencing of Kevin Morris, who was caught with a loaded handgun after fleeing police in 2014 in Toronto. Last September, after a jury found him guilty, Ontario Superior Court Justice Sean Nakasuru specifically gave Morris, then 26, a self-declared lenient sentence for 1 year to address one small step at a time the problem of disproportionate incarceration of black offenders. Nakasuru's lengthy sentencing decision was an impassioned declaration of the struggle to balance public's outcry over gun violence with systematic racism against young black males. I know that some may accuse me of being soft on crime, on gun crime. I do not believe that is so. Nakasuru began his declaration that sparked the appeal, recognizing as the law must that individuals are held responsible for the acts they commit that breach the criminal law. The reality is that the choice may be constrained by an offender's life circumstances, he wrote. There are systematic and case-specific factors that lessen your moral blameworthiness for this offence and soften the impact of general deterrence and denunciation. The Crown has sought a 4 to 4.5 year prison term for Morris and appealed the sentence. The Crown, however, did not object to the interveners. Morris's appeal, the trial told Strathy, provides an opportunity to develop clear analytical framework that provides guidance to trial judges on how systematic and background factors may be properly applied to sentencing. Strathy noticed that the Crown's position suggests that recent cases in this province and elsewhere in Canada have been inconsistent in their treatment of the issue. Faisal Mirza, lawyer for Morris, said that in an interview that he hopes the outcome of the appeal will fix an obvious flaw in the judicial system. All it means is giving the people who have decided someone's fate the full information. It doesn't mean that the person is not going to face stiff consequences. People that are still going to get punished and separated if they do something violent. That's not going to change. But it is going to make our system better because it would mean that we are sentencing people on the right information. Aboriginal and black people are disproportionately before the court and in jails, courts have long noted. Ever since the Supreme Court of Canada decision called R.V. Glaude, when sentencing Aboriginal offenders, judges across Canada must pay particular attention to the individual circumstance, as well as systematic or historical factors such as colonialism, residential schools, and systematic racism. The sad part is our system has really figured out a way to deal with that when it comes to black people, said Mirza. When it comes to black people, the sentencing seems to be consistently void of consideration of the additional source of disadvantage that they face. It expects the arguments that appeal to deal specifically with anti-black racism in the judicial system, despite some of the interveners representing other minority groups. Jonathan Scheim, Nana Yanfel, and Laurie Ann Thomas are representing a joint submission of the appeal of the Black Legal Action Centre and the Canadian Association of Black Lawyers. This case represents an opportunity for the Ontario Court of Appeal to consider what role race, and more particularly anti-black racism, should play in the sentencing of offenders, Scheim said in an interview. His team supports having something similar to Glaude reports for black people who have been found guilty of crimes, where judges have some analysis that will properly take into account the history of the black experience in Canada, including slavery and other features of black historical experience in Canada. The Ministry of the Attorney General declined to discuss the appeal. As this matter is before the court, it would be inappropriate to comment, said Brian Gray, a ministry spokesman. Because the intervener applications were made after the appeal was scheduled.
What about the Asians?
What about the Asians?
I'm sorry, it's just they keep going on about black slaves, black slaves, black slaves. That was Asians!
Because the intervener applications were made after the appeal was scheduled, each group will be restricted to 5 minutes of oral submissions. We know how that's going to go. And up to 15 pages of written submissions. Organizations accepted as interveners are the David Asper Center for Constitutional Rights, Criminal Lawyers Association, Aboriginal Legal Services, South Asian Legal Clinic of Ontario, Chinese and Southeast Asian Legal Clinic, Colour of Poverty, Colour of Change Network, the Black League Action Centre, Canadian Civil Liberties Association, Canadian Muslim Lawyers Association, Urban Alliance on Regulations, and Canadian Association of Black Lawyers. This appeal is scheduled for September 24th in Toronto.
Okay, so I have some mixed feelings. The colonialism and systematic racism, please get rid of those buzzwords because they're not going to help your argument. They're not going to... No, if anything, it's going to turn me off from the article. However, let me say this, because I've talked about this on Twitter before, like in regards to the U.S. There are communities, and a lot of these communities are usually in democratic states, have been left to die, forgotten, not well taken care of, and their schools are lacking. And that's where a lot of these gangs and other places reside because the leadership of the state has failed them. Look at Chicago. It's democratically ran. Look at some of the issues. Detroit, another example. So I will say that when you do have children who are born into these neighborhoods, these little cultures, I'm not belittling them, but like the environments, and they grow up and they're taught pretty much the culture of that neighborhood or that small little community, because that's what becomes of these forgotten places. I will say it does give way to criminal behavior if not properly addressed. Because I mean, yeah, I there is no denying that if you forget an entire community, if communities are left to die, it is going to breed criminal activities. It's going to breed all sorts of things because they've been left to fend on their own, and so therefore you're going to have its own hierarchy and things like that, gangs and all that wonderful stuff. So I do see the argument there. It's like, we'll take into consideration what their circumstances is, but just from what the guy is saying, again, toss out the freaking colonialism, the systematic shit. What
I found really interesting is so. Now I'm a dirty English foreigner, so this is what I've been told by an American parent. So if he's wrong, then please tell me. But he told me that there seems to be districts for kids going to like high school or something. Like
yes,
like they can only go to specific schools if they live in a specific location.
That is true. Yep.
And to me that's kind of terrifying, because it's like, so they can't go to a school that's actually good for them because of where they live.
Yep, the school.
That's terrifying to me, because here it's that's terrifying to me because here it's like I remember when I was in school, I knew kids that lived like halfway across the fucking country, and they would take a bullet train. They would take a bullet train and 2 buses to get to secondary school.
Yeah, no, that's true for all of our schools. Kindergarten, grade school, middle school, and high school. That's true for all of them. There are district boundaries, and some schools will reject students going, no, you need to go over there because you're out of bounds for us. No, that does happen because they have to.
Yeah, that is.
Go ahead.
That is terrifying, because it's like, well, someone who is actually worth going is actually go to a really good school because they have good grades and they've worked really hard, and they can't do it because they happen to live in an area it's I don't know, it's a bit crazy to me. It's just like, oh yeah, this kid's future is fucked unless you move to a completely different area because of invisible boundaries.
I don't know if that
I don't
has to
know.
do with the bus route they laid out. Again, I do know I don't think growing up we struggled with the boundaries at all because pretty much whatever area we moved into, we pretty much got stuck in that school. Um, so, but it either has to do with the bus routes they lay out. I don't know. I would have to read up on. I don't know when boundaries were established like that or how far some boundaries go. It depends on the area or whatnot. So, but yes, boundaries are very much a thing with all three sets of schools: grade school, middle school, and kindergarten, or excuse me, high school.
Yeah, that's terrifying to me because like that's really limiting what kids can do with their future by where their parents live. That's I know it's like that everywhere, but I live in a country where it's like if a kid wants to go to a school that really benefits them, they'll make that fucking trip because if you don't, you.
Yeah, I think it could also was probably established to prevent overcrowding at certain schools. Like if you live in the area, then you go here, as because that is an issue too within our schooling system. Is there's a lot of classrooms that there's too many students to one teacher, so not every student gets the proper attention they need to succeed in school. So it just our system is so kind of screwed right now. It's even gotten worse with all this PC garbage. Someone says it's different when you get to college. Yeah, no, it pretty much is. College doesn't have boundaries. College, you pretty much sign up and do the FAFSA, all the processing stuff, and wherever you live doesn't freaking matter as long as you attend the classes. When I went to a quarter of college, I'm not gonna say where, I had to bus out 2 hours just to get there. So,
But it's like I'm not saying that England is better than America when it comes to schools. I'm just saying it's like at least we give kids the option. It's one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys have an entirely different school system than we do. You guys don't break it down into specific grades like we do. So I don't know.
Well, the secondary school I went to, it would have I'd say like that they're at like 8:30 in the morning to like 4:30 in the afternoon. And and what they would do is they would put schedules in a way where it's like so that some days will come in and like some days people come in and then other people come in. So it'd be like literally thousands of people going to school, but it would be different time slots they would come in, and there was even when the kids were gone, like at night time there would be school for adults as well. So again, it's not a great system, but it's better than restricting people from where they can go because of where they live.
Yeah. So I was wondering do people need a 5-minute break before we move on to the next set of articles, or do we want to keep going? It's up to you guys.
I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're fine.
Do you guys need
The
a
storm
5-minute?
outside's starting to get kind of bad, so I might have to dip.
Wait, what now?
Oh shit!
What's up, Ichabod?
Yeah, it's been storming for a little while, so I might have to dip out just to make sure nothing serious is going on.
Well, I mean, you're not roboting, and you seem to be coming through just fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not roboting, but you guys kind of are every once in a while.
Oh.
Alright, well, if no one needs a break, we'll continue forward, and if Ichabod, if you need a dip, I guess shoot me a DM or leave, or shoot me a DM saying, hey, weather's too bad here, I'm gonna kind of buckle down, so.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, so we're going to start with a 2-year-old article, and the reason why is because there's been progress on this, and this is something me and very few other individuals have covered back then. So back in 2017, you had a church that was applying for its own police force and was trying to get legislation passed. This is in Alabama, of all places. No surprise there.
Of course.
Let me see how long this article is. It's not too big, so we're gonna go through this. Again, this was from 2 years ago. I covered a similar article in the same thing. But I can't pull up the article because it magically disappeared or they removed it, so I had to pull up one similar. Anyway, this is April 12th, 2017. A large church in Alabama is one step closer to creating its own police force, a move that seems to be without precedent in the U.S. The state Senate has approved legislation that will give church police officers the same powers other law enforcement officers have in Alabama, so their power would equate to that of actual law enforcement. After being approved by Alabama Senate on a 24-4 vote, the bill now heads to the State House of Representatives, where an identical bill was sent to the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee in February. Both chambers' legislation specifically names Briarwood Presbyterian Church a Birmingham megachurch, and if you guys don't know what a megachurch is, I know that that's now an atheist version of a church, but when it comes to like when you hear the term megachurch for like Christian Pentecostal, it is like huge, over 1,000 people. I think that's the number range, but it's freaking huge.
It's unnecessarily huge.
Oh yeah. Oh no, 4,000 persons. So mega churches are in the thousands. I've been to one, and I don't ever want to go to one again. Let's see. That says it needs its own police officers to keep its school as well as its more than 4,000 person congregation safe. Alabama Public Radio reports. Police officers hired by Briarwood Presbyterian would need to be certified by a state Standards and Training Commission. According to the bill, SB 193, the officer's authority would be restricted to the church's campuses and properties. Yeah, like they would. They say
This is
that.
what
Go ahead.
This is what happens when you let an entire state be run by incest.
What?
The officers would be given all the duties and invested with all the powers of law enforcement officers in the state. A spokesman for the church tells reporter Andrew Yeager of member station YBHM in Birmingham that the church was moved to create its own police force after the 2012 Sandy Hook shootings. In Yeager's report for today's All Things Considered, he says that the bill's main sponsor, State Gen Jobo Wagner, is helping the church deal with security needs that aren't met by the private security it's already using. It was their decision, Wagner tells Yeager, and if they wanted to have their own police force, I don't see any reason why they can't. It's not unusual. Yes, it is, because we talk against the Muslim police. We don't want those guys here either. Okay.
In before all of that, the concept of violating the Constitution because you're a little scared is not. No.
Here's the
Yeah,
thing.
as I said, that's what happens when you let an entire state be run by incest.
Okay,
This shit happens.
let's fast forward to 2 years later and 3 months. No, 4 months. No, 2. Anyway, Alabama governor signs law allowing church to have its own police force. Again, this popped up, and I had to go back through my videos to make sure this was the same church I covered 2 years ago. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, Republican, signed a bill into law to allow Presbyterian Church to have its own police force. The law approved during the most recent legislative session gives Briarwood Presbyterian Church and its private school on the same campus the ability to hire private police officers who can make arrests if crimes are committed on their property. So they can't detain people like a security officer would, so like at a mall or something. They can actually arrest them. According to the Associated Press, officials from the church say a private police force is necessary to adequately secure the church and school, which has 2,000 students and faculty on its campus. The law also applies to the church's private academy located in a nearby county. The police will have the same powers as regular police. Randall Marshall, executive director of the ACLU of Alabama, told the AP that the law could give the church the ability to not report criminal activity that occurs on its property. He said that the law will likely be challenged in court. The new policy is scheduled to go into effect this fall. So, it has happened. And I honestly, with the way that the churches have been behaving, a lot of them, this scares the living shit out of me. Because it's one thing to have us hire a security company, which you can do, by the way, versus having your own police force. Now, in regards to the Sandy Hook shooting, because I've actually talked about this story, well, it doesn't have to do Sandy Hook, but I've actually talked about a story on my channel multiple times to where I almost got shot at my own church that I used to go to. And after I reported the incident, everybody had concealed carry. Anybody who was licensed to concealed carry brought them on the church property. They didn't hire their own police force. They didn't try to establish their own PD. And the fact that these guys have the power to make actual arrests, I have a couple of questions. So, if they have the same authority as the police officers, and this is supposedly supposed to stay on the church's properties that are listed, how are they going to handle when actual police, like, because there's going to be a conflict of interest, are they not able to get arrested by actual police officers? Or do they, once they arrest the perp or suspect or whatever, do they turn the person into the actual PD? I mean, there's so many questions, and again, I highly doubt this is just going to stay on the church property. I don't think it will. I really don't think it will. I think they're bullshit. Go ahead.
What's that Mormon state called? I can't remember what it's called.
Deseret?
Utah.
Utah, that's
Utah.
it.
Okay.
See, what I've tended to notice is in very religious states like Alabama and Utah, they seem to have the most psychotic, murderous, disgusting criminals in American history. No joke. Most serial killers are from very religious states, and it's not really the fact because of religion. It's more of the culture that's been formed. Religion. So it's not the religion itself; it's the culture that's formed.
It's all the Alabama inbreeding.
I mean, yeah, it's Alabama inbreeding, but like there seems, like, I seem to tend to notice is that when the more religious a state is, the more they have this culture of outsiders versus us, and whereas is home to American cults. Like Utah has so many American cults, it's amazing.
Okay.
And it's really funny because, like, if you look at the amount of serial killers that came out of Utah, so having a police force that is run by a church in Alabama, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. Just saying.
Okay, so I looked up because I tried to see if I could get specifics into what exactly that they're allowed to do, and this is from ChristianPost.com. So scroll to, I'll put this article in the link in the description as well.
And they're never very reliable.
So let's see. Scusi, go ahead and talk amongst yourselves. That is.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so.
Oh dear.
Here's the really big fucking issue with all this that just beyond pisses me off. The very concept that they're looking for an excuse to take a big shit on the Constitution so they can set a legal precedent to just toss it aside.
Well, to them the Constitution is it's outdated.
Well, to me, the bullet is a sandwich, so why don't we give them one?
Well, to me...
Sorry, that's mean to me.
To me, it'll be the same blood and the same mud. But
it's that
only
whole
one side. But only one side sees it that way.
I'm just saying, I read way too many articles, and I probably shouldn't hang around with Arctis so much, but I've read so many articles where it's just like an incest cult in one of 3 states, either Mississippi, Utah, or fucking Alabama.
Okay, to be fair, that's not Arkader, that's Froman. That is all coming from Froman.
It's from Arcta and Froman, so yeah, it's from Arcta and Froman. They just keep finding it, and they just keep going like, I never see anything good come out of Utah, Mississippi, and Alabama. It's always something really bad and has something to do with cults. And when I heard about the police force thing, I was going like, oh no, police force. Oh, that is bad.
Even taking away the cult concept, even taking away the actual fact that it's you know giving crazy people a police force, you're still violating the Constitution. You can't be somebody who supports the Constitution and somebody who flies their sack in front of the Constitution. Like, this doesn't matter anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Like the fuck, how does America politics work? There's the state stuff, and then there's the America stuff. I am not explaining
Skull
things
Rants
well.
and Reviews says, what about Mark Twain?
I don't know who that is.
I'm sure you don't. You're much too English for that.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time to think up of names of your legal system because
Do you remember Huckleberry Finn, the book?
Oh, I love that book.
I know you do, Seb.
I kind of know that book, yeah.
Okay, well, that was written by Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually read that book.
But
too.
yeah, no, super unconstitutional and just a bad idea in general to flagrantly throw your sack in front of the Constitution and be like, this doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but like the thing is that in their state, they think, oh, it's perfectly fine. But what happens once it's take wind outside of their state?
Yeah, and here's something too. Sorry about
Calm down
that.
pretty hard.
Hubby was calling me that he was shutting down for the evening. Make sure that people can hear me. Yes. Okay. So I found another article again. This is by the Christian Post, and I scroll down. So Judge John Carroll at Cumberland School of Law explained that Broward officers will have the power to arrest, the power to engage in hot pursuit, the power to use non-lethal force, those kind of things. It will also, here's the fear, it will also allow the church to keep certain records, such as financial records and internal investigations, private. Other records, however, will have to be made public. So, internal investigations, so say if you have, we're going to go to the extreme here. So say if you have a case of child abuse or even sexual abuse, those investigations, I'm going to assume just by going off the wording here, those could be kept private, never exposed.
So, Step, you better run away from Alabama.
I mean, I was born in Mississippi, so I'm good.
Hey, that's coming there soon, too. Careful. Father Touchy's coming for you.
I can't wait.
So basically, they're going in the way of Scientologists, Mormons, what's the other one? Jehovah's Witnesses. That all do the same thing. But apparently, Alabama Church has the extra protection with having its own police force, even though that's unconstitutional.
Yeah, no.
That's terrifying.
That is just that in itself. Oh well, we can hide certain investigations or certain internal investigations. We don't have to share them with the actual PD, and it's just like, oh, that's not good at all. Like,
yeah, that's a bit
because you can destroy those. Those can be destroyed.
I mean, there was no repercussions when Jehovah's Witnesses had the right to just not report to the police at all in multiple states. No, there was no repercussions in that at all. There wasn't like literally thousands of people leaving Jehovah because because they got raped as kids. Nah, that's fine. Like, you know, there wasn't like thousands of people who had their lives ruined because of withholding information. That never happened. Well, what about Mormons? You know, it was only about 5 million people. Not 5 million,
And
5,000
let's not
people.
forget the fact that this sets a precedent. Sets a legal precedent.
Like, what was that? Like 5,000 people in the Mormon Church that came out saying that they were sexually assaulted, and then they were proceeded to get kicked out of the Mormon Church and lost almost everything because they. Hey, this guy that has so much power. He raped me.
Tatiana makes a good point in the chat. The same people that pushed for this would fight to keep a mosque or synagogue from doing it.
Oh yeah, I'm not for the Muslim police, the Black Panthers, and I'm not for this shit either. Another little bit that, in my opinion, kind of contradicts what we just said. Let me highlight it. Once he begins using the power the state of law has conferred, the power to use non-lethal force, the power to arrest, that means any of those activities will have to be reported just as if he or she were a police officer employed by a public entity, Carroll explained. But you just said that internal investigations, they could keep those as private. Keep certain records, such as financial records and internal investigations, private.
So it's like
Go ahead.
if one of your mega churches, if one of your mega churches priest ended up being a pedophile, and the church just swept that under the rug, that's apparently not going to be a problem, is it? Like, if the church has its own police force, and so they don't legally have to give out the fact that their priest might be a pedophilic murderer.
Well, it's I've seen quite a few different churches go to shit because not of like criminal activity, but because of like hypocrisy and double standards. Yeah, like the freaking church in Colorado under Ted Haggard. I was going to that church when that shit went down, when he got outed for having a 3-year affair with another band. I was too young to understand what happened, but I was at that damn church when it was going down. I've seen other churches go to crap because this is such a bad idea. And the way what we already have, I'll give you an example because we're going to touch upon this as well. So you guys remember 2 streams ago we did a live response to Matt Powell in regards to the NFIB. Granted, that entire situation is a dumpster fire, but what if they had their own police force? Because if this church was just granted what's going to stop them from trying to get their own damn police force? What's going to stop people from okaying them having a police force? You already set one president for one church.
Yeah, like that's what I don't want to gloss over in the severity of this.
I'm not. I'm full aware. I don't.
What?
Go ahead.
I just want to point out the fact that there is a strong possibility that because this has passed, they've set a legal precedent for this to pass for anybody. Look at the Westboro Baptist Church. Could you imagine them with their own police force?
Oh, God.
Look at the NFIB, any church, any like religious organization. Think about how bad. Thank you. I get it. Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look up something real quick.
Just think about the Church of Satan people. How bad would the Christian community freak out if there was literal black-clad, jack-booted Satanists walking down the road with the same credentials as police?
They would probably freak out, but the Satanists probably wouldn't do anything.
To be fair, you would love it because the uniforms are snazzy, just like Step would.
Yeah, that's true. But no, like, if you haven't known much about Satanists, most of the time they don't, like, they just kind of believe the philosophies and shit. They don't really do anything. So it's like if they had their own police force, they most probably just be like, "Hey, Christians, we have our own police force," and then wouldn't do anything with it.
Oops.
I don't know. That's kind of just Satanist to me.
Yeah, no, and see, that's here's something that you guys need to think about as well, is because this is, again, I don't agree with this. Now, I do, with the article, where'd it just go? Supposedly that the reason why they're establishing this, let me flip back over to the article I pulled up. Supposedly they're establishing this because the police force that they were bringing on, which is from the state, doesn't have enough people that they get off that they can provide, and so it wasn't adequate enough due to the lack of people that they couldn't get a hold of. So they're doing it so they don't have to call on the actual PD, but at the same time, we already kind of have an upset. And I know hashtag not all, don't paint all this churches with the same brush, but right now there is such a freaking upset in the church community, in the church environment. You have Pastor Steven Anderson, who, by the way, him and his ilk is connected to several other churches because there's a group of these clowns. I'm actually trying to find out right now if these guys have any connections to Alabama. So we already don't want the Muslim police walking around, which is the Black Panthers. We've already seen them kind of interact during the 2008 presidential campaign, Obama versus McCain, when McCain's box were freaking guarded from people from voting. They'd actually strike people if people try to put their vote in the box. So it's just like, I don't want a Christian police force either. I don't want either one. I find both of them to be terrifying. I'm sorry, that's way too much.
Yeah.
You can have your members do concealed carry, is what you can do, like my church did. You don't need your own freaking police force.
The police force mixed with religion is never a good idea.
It's recipe for disaster because we don't know anything about this church. We don't.
Other than its opulent bullshit, just like all mega churches are.
Well, I'm not saying all mega churches are bad, but it's just like, what the hell are you guys doing? We don't allow one religion to do it. And I understand Islam and Christianity are two different things, and I always argue that they are, but at the same time, no. I don't want any church having its own freaking police force because that just...
Oh, shit! It is bad out there. Goddamn!
Yeah, I just heard that. Was that the Woo!
Goddamn.
Yeah, no, let me do that again real quick. Yeah, so I opened up the window because I was like, calm down, Jesus.
Y'all
How
hear
bad
that?
is this gonna actually be? I opened the window and it's just like, hey, fuck you. Jesus.
It fucker.
Oh my
I'm gonna be
god.
thunder. Bring in the thunder.
Why is it every time I talk to you, like the weather is always trying to kill you?
I live in Kansas. The weather is always trying to kill me.
Okay, speaking
I have an uncle that lives in
so
Kansas.
you're in. Okay, so I was actually just wondering where you were, Ichabod, because you mentioned a thunderstorm, and then my husband did. So he's actually shut down in Kansas right now, because he goes, yeah, I may not be able to get on later tonight. So no, that is interesting. So he's in the same area, weather in the same storm you are. So hopefully the signal's
I'd ask
strong.
whereabouts, just because like this is the. I guarantee this is the like first part of the storm. It's going to get a lot worse.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know. He said he was seeing lightning like every 3 seconds or whatnot, so...
Well, as long as he's not going down I-35, he should be fine.
He's actually shut down for the night. I'm not gonna obviously show these, but because he sent me pictures of where he was. Oh. You said what was that route you said? Like, hopefully he's not where? Ichabod?
Huh?
Where did you say hopefully he wasn't where?
going down I-35, usually somewhere generally in Douglas County, because that's right abouts where I'm at. So like if he's up around there, then he's gonna get hit with the bulk of it.
He's around there. So yay! Oh, I just heard
Sorry.
it again. Holy shit!
I'm sorry.
No, you're
I was
fine.
gonna say something, and then I unmute my mic, and then.
No, oh no, you're fine. We're supposed to get like a nasty storm here too, and just to let you guys know, I'm not doxing my husband. He's a truck driver, so it just because I found it coincidental. It's like my co-host is saying there's a major storm, and my husband's saying, oh, they're in the same area right now. So, I'm sorry, that's kind of.
Can I speak? Jesus.
Sound effects rolling in.
Every time I try to talk, it's just like, nope.
Can you guys actually hear that on the stream though?
I'm gonna check the weather real fast.
Hey, Americans really make fun of my country, like, oh, you guys never have sunshine. It's like, yeah, at least we don't have death weather.
Yeah, it's a flash flood warning is all. Flash flood warning is all it is. Until about midnight, so it shouldn't be too bad, but it's looking like the bulk of it's gonna hit right in probably about 1 a.m., but it's mainly gonna be like rain.
I'm just saying, Americans make fun of English weather and all that stuff, but at least we don't have death weather.
I'm just saying, pussy storm, no balls. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail there.
No, you're fine. No, I just found it funny because you're like, well, hopefully it's not over here. So I just like, well, damn. But anyway, getting back to, I just pulled up the weather. Freaking hell, man. It's supposed to be nasty Saturday and Sunday. And I know that I think we're supposed to be getting the same storm like to us. My town. Okay. Hold on, this is him again.
But yeah, it's basically it's the concept of how dangerous it is and the fact that it leaves a very serious legal precedent that could, potentially cause some serious harm in the future.
And slightly good news, if anyone cares, YouTube news at least.
Not over there, kid.
PewDiePie promoted D-Live today.
Nice.
YouTubers promoted D-Live, so it's like
in depressing news, there's some YouTuber that went missing.
What?
Oh, Etika.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but apparently, he apparently put out a apology video and then just disappeared. But they found his phone and wallet at Manhattan Bridge.
Did he jump?
I do not know.
Probably looking for him in the river then.
But hopefully he didn't, because there's no slight on YouTube big enough to take your own life over. Ever. There's nothing that big. People might want it, but that doesn't mean you do it.
Oh no! Let's see. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Found. I hate keywords of Google sometimes. Let's see, Travis.
The article was from the New York Post.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Let's see.
What is that clicking?
Oh, I'm just cutting pieces away from runners. I'm building my model.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
I'm building the bazooka right now.
You gotta talk to Stalin. He does those,
Does he do
Oh,
Gundam
God.
models?
He does Warhammer models, but it's basically
Ah.
the same premise. That boy needs more friends. Go yell at him about models.
Well, I don't even know where he is.
Just
Is he in
tag
your
him. He's in the server.
No, I want to tag him in your server if you have a server.
Are you in my server?
No.
Okay, something I can
So
do.
how would you?
Go ahead.
So how would you tag him in my server if you're not in my server?
Well, can I go to your server? No.
That I need age verification before you go in my server.
I'm like 30 years old, man.
That's not an answer.
Oh, okay. Do you want my date of birth?
Oh no, like I will straight up ask for ID if I've never met him before.
Oh. Well, I mean,
So you have fun with that one.
I mean, I do have some redacted images on my ID.
Right, redacted is fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to
J-
check his Twitter handle to see if there's anything. Also, did give you guys a heads up. Apparently, there is an image floating around of Tika supposedly jumping. This has been proven to be fake. If you come across this image, do not spread it around. Just freaking mute the thread, whoever's doing it.
Fair enough.
So,
But
yeah, I'm looking.
yeah,
at
you
the,
can use a redacted image, but you have to put a post-it note over where your picture would be and write Citrus Quest on it.
Citrus Quest?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just show you what it is real quick. Because Keemstar had posted it all. I'll just flip over to show you what it is real quick. Okay, so
Okay, let's take a look at this thing.
Okay,
'cause
so if you
I
see
don't
this
kind
image,
of.
this is not of him jumping. Just to let you know, this was pretty much cropped out from this. So
Yeah.
if you see this floating around, just mute the person or mute the thread or whatever. So because I'm looking at his handle. Everybody, when something usually like this happens, a situation or whatnot, people will tag the person that it happened to, and so. But I'm not seeing anything right now.
Well, I'm hoping the guy didn't actually jump because that's not
Well,
good for anybody, you know.
according to
Oh, that's upside down.
Keemstar, at the Manhattan Bridge Wednesday night, cops found Atika's driver's license and other cards and his wallet. Cops found his cell phone, a black and red Nintendo Switch, and laptop bag that was his. NPD sources said, "I think we lost him, guys."
Oof.
So God damn.
Yeah, YouTube's just getting worse.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I usually don't cover this stuff. I don't know, we kind of derailed a little bit.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, it just YouTube's not worth your life, guys, or it's not. If they found his stuff by the bridge, I don't think this is a stunt. I don't even. I know that there was some beef going on with him. The cops were called to his house. That's all. I stay away from this YouTube drama stuff because it's freaking hell. You have YouTubers that will try to tear each other down, fight each other over stupid shit. I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, yeah, your channel doesn't fucking grow. My channel doesn't grow because I stay away from this shit. But look where it leads you. I mean, it's not funny.
Flying Falcon, if your family are anything like mine, no, it's not wrong.
Say what now?
I just answering a question.
Oh. If I find out anything, I mean, I'm sure Keemstar, if you guys don't follow Keemstar on Twitter, I would if you guys are really interested in this, situation. If I find something, I'll tweet it out and post it in announcements. Oh my god. First we had the shoot up last year, and now we have somebody possibly taking their own life with a bridge. So,
Crying ass shame.
yeah, apparently he had mental health struggles. I mean, if you guys, I'm serious. Like, reach out to somebody, please. And if somebody is like reaching out to you, and I know that there's people who do it for attention, try to get sympathy and shit like that. But if you do have somebody like reaching out to you, is like, hey, help me. I just tried to do this. Please give them the proper number. Get them in touch with a family member. Something. I hope this guy.
I'm gonna go to the
can do it.
bathroom real quick because I need a second away from that.
No, you're fine. That was just like, oh my god.
Actually,
Anyway,
better to talk. It's actually better to talk to them about it than just to give them the suicide number, because statistically, they're more likely to take their lives if you just gave them the suicide number and left it to their own devices.
well, yeah, no, I'm not saying give them the number and just end it at that. I'm saying that no, make sure that they call. If your phone is able to do a freaking conference call, do a conference call. If you guys do not know how to do a conference call, pretty much there should be, when you like call a number on your phone, you should be able to exit out of that phone call, or there should be a plus button to add another phone call. So whether if you have to call it through Skype, for those of you who still use Skype, you can make a phone call using Skype. Freaking, there's a lot of stinking apps you can make a conference call with. Just make sure they get a hold of somebody. And again, if they, because the online stuff can get to you to a certain point, but there's also amounts where you have to know how to shut it off and walk away for a while. Know when to avoid certain things. There's a lot of stuff I avoid on here. There's a lot of fights, arguments I just stay out of now because I just no. It's a balance, but I really hope this guy is found alive. So, but considering the situation, considering what has already been found,
Okay, I'm back.
okay.
Back as well.
The thunder blasted open the back door, so there was water all over my kitchen.
Oh,
Oof.
Cold Summer 91 says, Chambers, I was wondering what your thoughts on the Shawfield family fiasco.
I have no idea what that is. Let me pull that up. Are you? No, why is that pulling up Arthur?
That said, I do need to go because I have to batten down the hatches. Cause,
Yeah, no. Oh, please
yeah,
be
if
safe.
doors are getting pulled open, I gotta make sure they're all locked so they don't blast open again.
Yeah,
Your
no.
house
Also,
really
if
that
you
old?
hear anything, let me know. Cause as I said, hubby's in the area, shut down for the night.
Yeah, if I hear alarms start going off, I'll shoot you a message.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Eh.
Be safe, Ichabod.
Yep.
But no, I've not heard of. Has to do with a YouTube channel. Another one. Viewers, the cure looked worse than the disease. Golly, man. Someone knows for. Okay. Oh, I guess we're gonna touch upon this real quick too, because oh dear God, why YouTubers are crazy. Bodie Schofield is sitting slumped over in an office chair, and I'm staring straight ahead. His eyes are glazed over, and he's drooling out of the corner of his mouth. According to his mother, Susan, who is filming this for her YouTube channel, it's nearly 4:30 a.m. and he hasn't had his medication yet. Do you need any
Why?
medication? Yes or no, she yells, filming. Do you need medication? Tell me, because I don't know. You tell me, so you tell me, do you need medication? Yes or no? If so, which medication do you need? What in the fuck am I reading? Bodhi's at 11 years old in the video. He has been prescribed a rotating regime of medications including Therazine, clozapine, Gaton, Depakote, Vyvanse, lithium, Seroquel, golly, Zypraxa, Risperdal, and Lyrica. Lyrica is I recognize that one. That one's for sleep, because that one has the logo of the butterfly. So I recognize that one. Throughout most of his young life, as described by Susan over various videos. Why would you film your... What is wrong with people? Most, but not all, are antipsychotics. Sometimes Bodhi takes them in combination, sometimes he takes them alone. What? Why is he taking so many antipsychotics? What the fuck? According to his father, Michael Bodhi was diagnosed with severe autism when he was 6, so antipsychotic? What? Susan has been skeptical of the diagnosis from the beginning. She's certain that just like his older sister, Jenny, he has schizophrenia. She has found doctors willing to place him on an intense regime of medications. Oh, this... No. So because of what she believes, she has found pill pushers. Oh my god, what? Okay, I'm no doctor, but having a child on that many antipsychotics.
Will make them psychotic. But
Oh, she's... In Susan's YouTube videos, Buddy's often in a nearly catatonic state, drooling and slurring his words. This kid is so doped up out of his fucking gourd, he can't even... and I'm not gonna go digging for videos. The hell with that. I don't want to see that shit. Oh, these symptoms haven't gone overlooked in the heated and skeptical world of YouTube commentary. A community of Schofield skeptics has developed to catalog Susan's behavior. Oh, it sounds like we got a DO5 situation, except with medication. Oh my gosh. Noting every time they believe Bodhi has a seizure or appears cloudy or over-medicated. Many of the community believe Jenny and Bodhi are victims of Munchausen's syndrome by proxy. Oh, I believe it at this. Because some other believes, instead of taking the doctor's diagnosis and actually delving into autism, I'm going off the article, she has found, again, doctors who are willing to pill push. There are doctors who are pill pushers, be careful of them. Rick, me and my husband had an experience with one, it's just like, you can, bye, we're done. Jeez. A disorder where parents or caretakers feign illness and disease in their children. In many cases, caregivers will often lie to doctors about their child's symptoms, change the results of tests to make the child appear sicker than they actually are. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just remember like my mother getting fake morphine prescriptions. That was interesting. I never took morphine in my life, and she's like, my child needs morphine. It's like, what? No, I don't. What the fuck are you doing? I don't know. Like drug addicts are gonna do deplorable shit no matter what they do.
It's hey Azrael. Let me know when you're done so I can start my stream. Okay. Oh yeah. Azrael is streaming. I should I'll probably be done here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Azrael, you should be able to put your link in the description, or whatnot. So, but wow. Let's see. Then they actually are even physically harm the child to produce symptoms. Victims of Munchausen syndrome by proxy are usually smaller children with caregivers who thrive off the attention they receive from caring for a sick child. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb. Like, if the boy was already described as catatonic, slurring, eyes glazed over, and she's flown at 4:30 in the morning. Why isn't CPS like all over this? Do we know if CPS is like all over this? Because oh my gosh. The attention comes from relatives and the local community, but the YouTube commenters theorize that Susan got attention from the platform itself. At its height, Susan's YouTube channel featured nearly 200 videos broadcasting the children's lives, nearly to 30,000 subscribers.
There was a case of like, this was before YouTube. There was a case of a woman from the 90s that she had her child, and her child was so malnourished and treated so horribly that she looked like she looked like a preteen sort of thing. What she did was she managed to fool big corporations to giving her like free holidays because she said that her child had really bad like an incurable disease, and she managed to fool doctors, big corporations, and everything just so she can get like free money, free vacations, all sorts. And in order to do this, she actually abused her daughter. Her daughter was about like in her mid-20s, and she was passing off her daughter to be like a 13-year-old that only has like a few years to live. The girl was completely fine, but the thing is that she got the girl was completely fine. She wasn't going to die anytime soon. But the thing is that the way she was treated, she was pretty much crippled. Sort of thing. And the poor girl actually had to end up murdering in order to get away from her. So that girl was having a life in prison, but. And this was back in the 90s when not many people had the internet at all. This has always been a thing where it's like they have so many they can fool so many people if they just abuse their child to the point where they can actually make them cripple because it gives them so many benefits.
Oh yeah.
There's another case in the 80s as well. Another case in the 80s with but it was a thing where they pretended the girl had AIDS. They starved her and broke her legs so she wouldn't be able to run away. Starved her so that she looks like she'd actually like a real AIDS thing. There's always been that problem. It's just with YouTube now, it's like we get to see that horror instead of just hearing about it.
Let's see. Oprah. She was on Oprah. The show of his first taste of public attention came in 2009 when Jenny was featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Oh, great. You guys flip these buggers. Oprah traveled to California to speak with the then 7-year-old girl who had been diagnosed with a rare case of childhood schizophrenia only a year prior. Oh, is this... Okay. Jenny pours over drawings she made to describe the characters that come out to play with her and when she hallucinates. She has many friends in her world of Con-Munnity, in which she tells Oprah is on the border of my world and your world. There's the bad friend, 400 the cat, a little girl named 24 Hours, and a second cat named Sycamore, among many others. So, golly, Jenny's unique case sparked a media blitz. There was a Discovery Life document in 2010 that HuffPost wrote about the family. So, there's already one kid that legit had schizophrenia, and so she wants a second taste of fame with her little boy. What a sick bitch. I'm sorry, just like the little article, little tidbit describing her filming her whacked out, drugged up son at 4:30 a.m. when his ass should be in bed. You should be in bed.
Oh yeah, there was also another case. There was also another case I remember that didn't actually. It wasn't so long ago. I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago there was a woman who claimed that her child was kidnapped. And all over England, people were searching for this little girl. People were raising awareness for the little girl, and it turned out that the mother had this girl tied up and trapped in a friend's house, sort of thing, just for the 15 minutes of fame. And that was only a few years ago.
See, I'm not gonna like finish this because
I'm
this
just
is
saying.
like depressing as shit. With the accounts like the Scotia story would probably disappear from YouTube. No, it won't. Are you, Verge? You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. People are onto this, and if there's still more stuff coming out, this is probably gonna be going on for a while. Here, because I remember after the DO5 stuff, after the Elsa Gate, if you guys remember what that is, YouTube started to do a crackdown on the freaking comment sections, which is stupid because like, oh well, we don't, if we disabled your comments, we don't want pedophiles marking stuff in there, blah blah blah. It's like, you guys are freaking retarded. Because that's not going to solve anything. They're just going to post the videos at other places. And but here's what I don't get about YouTube, because there are children's channels on YouTube with children in them. Just like, you don't want anybody below the age of 13 on this website, yet you're trying to make it family friendly, you're trying to do this and that, but it just, they contradict themselves, and they do like the weirdest of crackdowns when this stuff happens. Oh wow, okay, hold on, there is a reference to the Daddy-O-5 stuff here. But YouTube's broader problems with family channels are hard to escape. For years, the family of five, formerly known as Daddy-O-5, when Heather had her own channel, which is Mommy-O-5, or was, found both success and controversy from the outlandish videos. Outlandish my ass. Oh, I'm not getting into that. Which sometimes seem to show the parents physically harming the children. Not just sometimes, there's also breaking their stuff, and it was mainly Cody and Emma. The channel was terminated last July, and 2 children were removed from the parents' custody. Which, by the way, Family of 5 is still, or Martin is still around on YouTube when he's not supposed to be. He's now doing rap battles or whatever. Last month, the host of the Fantastic Adventure channel was accused of physical abuse after allegedly forcing her 7 children to take ice baths, and in a separate incident, allegedly pepper spraying their genital. Oh my god, I'm getting so sick of this. Unlike the Strofields, the host alleged abuse occurred off camera. There was also another incident because I think it had to do with the channel, this family, to where the children were being starved. The mom and the 2 brothers were arrested, and one brother came forward finally and said this is what's going on, and he got arrested because he's complacent with the abuse and didn't report it sooner. So this is, again, another YouTube channel. It just seems like the parents, like, you have these stupid parents, and I'm so glad my parents were strict as shit when it came to the internet. Okay? And I didn't have full access till I was 18. I'm actually glad they were that strict and they were not stupid. Because nowadays, you have parents, when they get like an itty bitty nibble of fame, and especially when it comes to their children, poof. I mean, look at the case with Save James right now. There's another example of Munchausen by proxy. There's nothing wrong with the boy, but his freaking wackadoo mom thinks he's a girl. Oh, she's not a YouTuber, but she's a pediatrician, which makes it even scarier. I'm so sick of this stupid parents. Go ahead.
What a lot of people don't seem to realize is, yes, the internet does create more attention whores, but there's also a thing where it's like, if the internet wasn't there, the parents would take a more extreme approach to try and get that glimpse of that hint of fame. And a couple of years ago, when the mother faked her own daughter being kidnapped. Keep in mind, back then, the internet wasn't, like, hugely accessible to everyone. Like, you know, it was still kind of like a privileged thing to have your own computer. The extreme just to get the attention fame. So it's like, yeah, there is a horror which is like, yeah, it becomes more attention whores and more child abuse, but then again, it's also a fact of statistic that they'll go to the full extreme to try and get that attention. then on those double-edged sword things where I don't want either situation, but I would much rather have the lesser damaging one, if that makes sense.
I just honestly, and this I guess the theme tonight, because it started with the LGBT friend religion, because the theme tonight is religion and crazy YouTube people, or YouTube can make you crazy. So I do apologize for the heavy stream. That was not my intent. But it's just, YouTube is not worth your life. It is not. If you can make, okay, and I'm not shitting on anybody who can make a living off of it, which, if you can break into the media and have a personality and charismatic and talent and things like that, that is awesome. There's people who can legitimately do that, keep up with the demands and supply and things like that. But if you're one of those people, and you find yourself where it turns you into like the nastiest of people, it just, because I've had to back off. You guys have seen me when I've reached like one of my end of the wick moments or seasons on YouTube to where I just bleh. So if you find yourself at that point, walk away. YouTube is not permanent, as I keep telling people. Fame is temporary. I mean, even like your YouTube brand name, a name is only as good as the tide when it brings in the sand. And pretty much that means is a name is only going to last as long as the amount of people that remember it. So do not treat this like a permanent thing. People aren't going to be doing this forever. When I tell people like my YouTube channel, yes, I'm a hobbyist YouTuber. I do all sorts of things. I do graphic design. I touch on political stuff. But I know that my channel's not permanent. I am only allowed to be here as long as Susan Wojcicki and her freaking psychotic bots allow me to be here. Same goes for Twitter, Facebook. I mean, yeah, no, if everything is terminated, I'm still going to be the Chambers of my heart. That's like a theme, not just for my channel, but overall life. But at the same time, my name isn't going to be forever. No one's name is. And just, it's not worth it. I mean, money, God, I don't know what else to say, man. This is just bonkers. Child abuse, freaking somebody possibly committing suicide. I mean, golly, I'm watching other stuff blow up lately, and it's just like, you guys are nuts. This is not worth it. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be now an alternate source of information. It was supposed to be fun anyway.
There's people who's gonna ruin it all the time. It's just there's people like that all the time in every medium. You know, as like TV was supposed to be fun, and now it's super depressing. It's like that everywhere. You just kind of have to. You just kind of have to use your brain.
Yeah, no, and just you have to make smart decisions, especially when it comes to the media. The fame and fortune, okay, don't get me wrong. If you can get your stuff out there and based off of your own mallets, creative talent, and yes, a little bit of networking does go in there, yeah, that's fine. But when you start to see yourself destroyed, like, you're not the same person anymore, or you're finding yourself just to be miserable, or it's not worth it. There's a reason why I operate my channel the way that I do. Now, granted, as I've told people time and time again, I'm not an entertainer. I'm not one of these charismatic people. I'm not an actor. I'm not anything like that. But at the same time, I purposely avoid a lot of shit. I purposely keep to my own corner because it's like, it's very toxic. I mean, for me, I watch a lot of craft channels now and cooking channels. So, God, stuff is so not worth it. If you could properly make a job off of like your media work, kudos to you. That is awesome. But if it ends up destroying your personality, makes your life miserable to where the point to where you start to do extreme stuff, get away from it. Drop it. It's not worth it. Oh my God.
You're cutting out a lot.
Oh, I am? Am I cutting out on your end, or is it just the stream in general?
I think your mic's peaking in Discord. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hello. I don't know. Could be a signal tweak. I don't know what it is. But anyway, we're gonna end it here. Again, sorry for the heavy stream. Stream, do you have any last thoughts?
The LGBT flag's still an eyesore. Get rid of it. And no, it doesn't make me homophobic. I just don't like the look of LGBT flag. It's ugly. Get a new flag. Okay, that's it.
Alright, let's see. Yeah, it must be on your end. Steam Falcon says there isn't any cutting out in the actual feed.
Shit.
You're fine. Okay.
Did you at least hear any of that?
Yeah, no, I heard it. I was responding to somebody in chat. But
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna end it off here. Again, it has not been confirmed. And I didn't know the guy. I stayed away from it because it was back and forth. But it just, from what it's looking like with the Atika YouTuber, I won't. And again, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping he just left his stuff somewhere. But it doesn't make sense to find all of his shit by the bridge. And unless he did you know what.
I don't think it's because of YouTube. I think he's just a YouTuber that suicidal tendencies, not that YouTube made him suicidal.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's because of YouTube. It's people engulfing themselves in very toxic, whether it be media, relationships, activities. Like I said, there's YouTube in general. It's not bad. It can be fun. It can be creative. You could do all sorts of things with it. If you're lucky enough to break out into the media, I mean, that's cool. But again, if it turns into something that is destroying your life, makes you miserable, you need to get the hell away from it.
That's easier said than done.
Oh, I know.
Really.
I know.
There's some people who can't just walk away from it, like Dankula, for instance. He can't just walk away from it because, well, he made a joke and now he can't get a normal job. He's tried. And he just gets fired every time because he made one. So there are some people who just can never get a normal life again. Yeah. I think that's the thing people do have to remember.
Yeah, no, that is true. With that being said, Azrael, I know you said you wanted to start streaming. I didn't see a link posted in the chat. So if you want to throw that in there, if you guys are Pokemon nuts or whatnot, and you guys want to go watch a Pokemon stream, go follow Azrael. He actually just commented, his full name is Professor Azrael. So go check him out if you guys want to watch and do Pokemon and all that stuff. But that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one. And again, sorry for the heavy stream. I need to take a moment after this because shit. See you guys in the next one.